Hi everyone, JJ here with the Art of Value. Welcome. Well, some Alibaba news and some Jack Ma news. Jack Ma seems to have stepped back into the fray. He's commenting publicly and to Alibaba employees. What's this all about? Is he coming back? Or why has he got something to say right now? Let's get into it. Let's see the news. So this article from Fortune says every great company is born in a winter. Jack Ma stuns Alibaba employees with memo calling for firm he co-founded to correct its course. So he's commenting internally with Alibaba after stepping away. So this is intriguing. What's he got to say? This is from Fortune. It says Jack Ma urged Alibaba Group Holding Limited to correct course in a surprise internal memo in which the billionaire called for fundamental change across the company he co-founded decades ago. Ma, who has mostly stayed away from the day-to-day operations since 2020, stunned employees Wednesday by replying to a staff post on Alibaba's internal forum. So this is like an intranet, I suppose, internally. They've got a huge number of employees there, over 200,000. In his brief message, the entrepreneur praised decisions taken in recent years by rival PDD Holdings, which I've talked about before. Not so keen on PDD. They are going well. They've come out with really good results. But I just don't believe the numbers. I have been a shareholder in PDD and it did well for me. But this short report that came out, which I've talked about, it was detailed and I just kind of don't believe the numbers, but a lot of people do. But let's go on. In his brief message, the entrepreneur praised decisions taken in recent years by rival PDD Holdings to wrest market share from China's e-commerce leader. But Ma was convinced Alibaba will change and correct its course, he said in a post confirmed by people familiar with the forums. Fortune, the reporters haven't actually seen what he wrote, but it has obviously leaked out because they got so many employees. How could it not? Alibaba, once China's best candidate to become a trillion-dollar company, and those US companies are trillion-dollar companies, is trading near its lowest value this year, a fraction of its peak in 2020. So it was around 800 billion US dollar market cap. It's gone way down, just a fraction of that. The company is navigating turmoil both internally and externally as a weaker than anticipated economic recovery and up-and-coming rivals such as PDD and ByteDance Limited. Of course, ByteDance operates TikTok, undermine its once dominant online retail business. Well, once dominant, it's still pretty big business. It's still going pretty well. It goes on. Every great company is born in a winter, the billionaire wrote. As the AI era for e-commerce gets underway, it's an opportunity for everyone as well as a challenge. So he's sort of saying it can come back. It's sort of meant to be motivational, I think, commenting on this internal forum. The company this year has undergone a series of upheavals, starting with the announcement of a plan to break up the corporation into 6 similar pieces. And I made a video about that, about the breakup, about their plan to do that. Then Chief Executive Officer Daniel Zhang stepped down and the company brought in 2 long-standing Ma confidants, Joseph Tsai and Eddie Wu, to run the group, which makes you think the long-time confidants, maybe that they're talking to Jack Ma, maybe he's going to step back in. There was this conflict with the government, which is why Jack Ma really stepped away. Is this changing? Months later, the pair announced that they were shelving the much-anticipated spin-off and listing of its $11 billion cloud arm, a stunning about-face that called into question the company's future direction. An Alibaba representative didn't respond to a call and message, so they're not speaking about it. As I said in the latest earnings, the cloud arm isn't growing very fast at all, very low single digits, as opposed to the US counterparts, which are well into the double digits, strong growth. So they want to get that back on track, I'd say, before their IPO, or they're just not going to get very good valuation for it. Or maybe Jack Ma's not keen on these IPOs and they're talking to him. These are intriguing events. Now, if you're getting value out of this video so far, please don't forget to hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube or on X or on Rumble to help the algorithms to spread it to more people. Thanks. Is he allowed to come back? Is the government saying that you can come back because Alibaba the share price has dropped low and the economy is not going so well? Has the government said to Jack Ma. It's time to come back after this years of being quiet. He started other things. He's just started a new business. So that's interesting too. But let's read on to see what's going on. Ma's online response certainly adds to the perception of uproar at Alibaba. I'm not sure about that. Said Brock Silvers, Chief Investment Officer of private equity firm Cayenne Capital. The breakup strategy is faltering. Ma is reducing his stake. Well, he was going to, but he's pulled back from that. I've talked about that before too. And his latest message, meant to provide encouragement, comes across instead as somewhat deflating. It probably meant to increase morale there, but the fact that he's commented at all after being so quiet is intriguing. It's unclear where Ma saw the most pressing need for change, but his unusual memo suggests the co-founder felt the need to address the troops. Ma this month hit the brakes on a plan to reduce his stake in Alibaba as the stock price was not at a level he was happy with. Well, to sell out after building the company up and it's dropped so much, up to 80% at one point, then he probably wouldn't be happy. But I'm not so sure about why he did that, whether it was a low stock price or for other reasons. They're just speculating, really. This financial press is just speculating. The comments to the company's staff are the latest sign that the once outspoken billionaire is becoming more publicly active after years of staying out of the spotlight. He was forced to do that, really. Following Beijing's sweeping crackdown on his businesses, he just set up a new company to process and sell farming products, Hangzhou Ma's Kitchen Food. It sort of begs the question, if he's starting a new business, would he really want to come back to Alibaba? Would he want to do both? Elon Musk does a few things, so probably why not? You know, there might be some synergy between the two there. If he was to start a new company, obviously Alibaba could help that company if they were selling. So there could be a lot of synergy there. So maybe that's part of what he's up to. Now, if you're getting value out of the Art of Value and you'd like to support, you can now go here to buy me a coffee, just a one-off small donation. And Super Thanks is also activated now on YouTube, so you could use that if you wanted to as well. Thanks, I really appreciate that kind of support. Alibaba's shares slightly narrowed losses in Hong Kong after Ma's encouraging comments. Let's have a quick look at that. Let's have a look over the last 5 days. We can see that it's down 4.32% over the last 5 days, and really not much of a pickup from that bottom there, or it's just picked up about 0.86%. But over the past month, it's down 9.2%, but the low, it still is above the low. If we look back over 5 years, the low was really way down there. So PDD's growth far outpaced Chinese rivals, including Alibaba, and the results have just come out in the last few days, underscoring how it's used promotions to woo bargain-seeking consumers at a time of economic certainty. It certainly seems to be doing well, but as I said, I'm just not so sure about the numbers, particularly the margins. They're selling things very cheaply. It's kind of group buying. It's going well internationally, but I'm really not sure about those numbers there. And the short report from Grizzly Research replied that they're sort of not fudging the numbers, but they're hiding something from investors there. So it remains to be seen, but they obviously seem to be doing very well when others have not, trying to do the same thing, you know, starting to sell internationally at cheap prices to the US and other places. And here where I am in New Zealand, we have Memo as well. During the just concluded Singles Day shopping festival, PDD likely racked up 20% growth in transactions versus its rivals, single-digit rises, Goldman Sachs estimated. PDD's market value at $176 billion is now within striking distance of Alibaba's $190 billion. So Alibaba's share price has gone down, the market value's gone way down. At the same time, PDD's having an upswing. And we'll see that. They've got a graph in another article here. I'll show you that now. See this graph? So unlike PDD, Alibaba has yet to shake off effects of China's crackdown. It says here, this graph. And you can see the difference there in the graph. PDD is definitely on upswing since around January 2022, and Alibaba's continued down. So in contrast, Alibaba's first explored overseas markets with AliExpress, which we have here too, the sourcing platform Alibaba.com, and then later international subsidiaries such as Lazada and Trendyol. But the Chinese business remains by far its biggest revenue contributor despite years of effort. Revenue is actually profit. But having said that, you know, if you go back to my video just recently of the latest Alibaba earnings, a bright spot was international. It was growing around, from memory, about 25%. So it's just that PDD seems to be doing well, but Alibaba's, the growth areas are their international and logistics, which they're planning to spin off. They haven't called that off so far. It makes you wonder whether Jack Ma would not want to spin that off if he was in charge again. Don't know. This is definitely interesting to see what's going to happen here. But Alibaba's international division is actually growing, and the logistics, which is international based as well as in China, is growing pretty well, like a high over 20%. So, there are areas of Alibaba that are doing pretty well. Congratulations to Pinduoduo for their decision making. This is Jack Ma. Execution and efforts of the past few years. Every company has had their glory days, but the people willing to reform for the future and the organizations willing to pay any price and sacrifice are the ones that are truly respected, Jack Ma said to the troops inside Alibaba. So, he's basically saying the competition's doing better and, we need to get innovative. It sort of implies that he could come back if he was allowed to and right the ship. It reminds me a little bit of Steve Jobs, where things went badly more badly than they are here, because Apple was on the brink of bankruptcy. That's not the case with Alibaba at all. But Steve Jobs came back and, the rest is history. The iPhone, all those great products that made Apple into an innovation giant and the position that they are today. Could Jack Ma come back? Will the government allow that? All right. So this other article here is headed, Jack Ma returns to rally the troops as Alibaba troubles deepen. Kind of a sensational article. Is there anything else that we can glean from here that's different from that other one? And it said he expressed confidence the 220,000 plus staff can return to the success of the past with determination and hard work. So it sounds like he's acting like a CEO here, isn't he? I just wonder if they're going to bring him back, because it's perceived that he's needed. It's not clear whether Ma has been given explicit approval from authorities to resume a more public role, because he's commenting again just out of the blue, and he's been seen more in public lately as well. Has he been kind of given permission by the Chinese government to step back in and help Alibaba? I wonder. This intervention is particularly significant given that we haven't heard him addressing anything related to the company for over 3 years. But is he going to come back? It's interesting speculation. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. What do you think's happening here? What do you think? Is Jack Ma trying to come back? Is he about to come back and step into a leadership role to bring Alibaba back to compete with PDD? Or does he think he can do a better job? I'm sure he does think he can do a better job. Is the government allowing him to do that because of the economy and Alibaba has seemed to have gone downhill? I'm sure the government, they want their companies to be strong versus US companies. That's what I think anyway, so we'll have to see. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to leave a video of what YouTube thinks that you should watch next, and I'll put links in the description as well. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for subscribing, being a subscriber, and I'll see you in the next one.